Welcome to video number 3, and we're going to talk about personality. Now, this is kind of a funny topic to me because I really like talking about personality. I like to figure out people's personality, and it really baffles me because a lot of people either don't realize there are many different personalities in the world. They think that everybody thinks like them, or if there is personalities, when it comes to hiring, most people don't really think about, okay, is this person right for the job? Because will their personality actually fit in this job? Now, yes, their skill set might be great, but at the end of the day, I want to know if somebody is going to be passionate about the job or not. If they are passionate about the job, they're more likely to go out and figure it out. And over the years, we've hired many people, not just programmers. We've done headhunting for other companies as well, and realized that personality is a key factor. If you get the wrong personality working with you, you might be saying one thing and they might be thinking something totally different, and they might go off and do something different, come back thinking that's what you said, and communication problems there as well, as you can see. But personality tells you a lot. So why personality? Well, this is often overlooked and the reason for most failed projects. Skill set is great, but personality comes along with the person. So you got to look at two of these items. They combine make the best programmer. And with that said, I highly recommend that you look into the Myers-Briggs personality test and look for the best programmer personality via Myers-Briggs. Now, that's not to say that if a programmer comes along and they have, a personality that might not fit the Myers-Briggs, but they have the history, they have the backing, and they can show that they have that skill set, then you got to kind of have to make a decision based on that. You have to compare the personality, you have to take in the skill sets, and you really have to think through before you go ahead and hire somebody. But what I've found over the years is that if you hire the right person who has the passion and the love for programming, specifically WordPress programming, you have found the right person. Because even though their personality might not say so, they are going beyond, up and beyond, to really learn how to fix those issues. Now, I'm going to show you in just a minute more on that and how to go about doing that and how this works, because I know to you, some of you, this might be a foreign concept, and that's fine, but you really need to think about personality. So what I normally do is, as I'm looking for people who have applied to my job post, I will ask them to take a personality test. And this is kind of a fun way of getting to know them better. So you know how they communicate, you know how to communicate with them, and all of that. Because if you can communicate with somebody more effectively, not only are you going to be able to get the job done faster, they're going to be able to communicate, understand what you need, and they're going to be able to get the job done at a lower price. So this actually can help you when it comes to budgeting. All right. Focus on passion over skill set. And while skill set is definitely a must, years of experience does not matter, in my opinion. I've hired programmers who have years of experience and with no passion whatsoever, and the plugin just did not come out the best it could be. So if they love programming so much they can't stop talking about it, and this is a great way to interview them, ask them what they like about WordPress plugin programming and all that. If they love it, they can't stop talking about it. They just, they love learning WordPress, they love learning different languages. And if that's the type of person that you see, that's a good sign. Now, keep in mind, personality-wise, there are extroverts and there are introverts. Extroverts will talk your head off all day long. Introverts they're saying the same thing, but it's inside of their mind. So if you can get it out of them, then and they start talking about it, that's a good sign as well. So, personality. Sometimes what I found in addition to that is the ones with the entrepreneurial spirits are great. The ones who are thinking, okay, I can take this to a next level. I could, take this program, add these features to it, would make it really cool. That kind of entrepreneurial spirit, or not just entrepreneurial spirit, but initiative, or somebody who wants to make things better. That's a good sign for a WordPress programmer. Now, I will say, you got to get people to sign an NDA, meaning a non-disclosure agreement that says, I promise that I am not going to steal your idea, or I promise that all the code that I develop for you, it's yours. It's not mine. I'm not going to tell anybody about it. Because the reality is, besides personality, you got to protect yourself. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that before I move on. So let me show you how it works. Let me show you a little bit about the Myers-Briggs and how to find and use personality to find the best programmer. All right. Okay. So what I want you to do is head on over to google.com and type in the keyword Myers-Briggs. You're going to see a lot of different sites out there, and you kind of want to go towards a personality test. Now, 16personalities.com is a good site to go to, and you can actually go here. And what I like to do, like I said earlier, is every time somebody applies to the job, I ask them to take the personality test. That way I have a better idea of how they think. And sometimes I'll just send this to them. It's kind of a fun thing and gets them thinking, okay, this is a fun person to work with. Psychologically, you want to think about them and you. All right. So in their shoes, that's what they're thinking. In your shoes, you're thinking, I just want to figure out who they are, a little bit about them, their strengths and their weaknesses. Now, this is not 100% accurate. It's pretty accurate, but within one personality, there can be many different personalities depending on how they are brought up, and specifically culture and all of that, habits, all that. But at the end of the day, you're going to have an idea about how they think. Are they going to work well with you? So you might want to take this yourself. All right. So I'm going to move my screen down a little bit so you can see the URL as I go through. But I'm not going to take the test right now, but I like this site. And in fact, I like it a lot because not only can you take the test, you can actually purchase premium profiles. Yes, the profiles, I believe, cost about $129 or more than that, but it is worth it at the end of the day, especially when it comes down to hiring. So if you're not using this method when it comes to hiring anybody in general, customer support, all that, then you're actually losing out. Because what I found is, for example, one company that I hired, customer support for, we hired about 6 different people. And over time, we finally found, 2 people that were really, really good. And when I began to utilize the personality method that I'm showing you now, that's when we started to see success. So this is something that actually works. All right, so let's jump right in. Let's click on personality types, and most of your programmers, you're going to find they tend to be like T's, like thinkers. Now, doesn't always mean that. I know some, ENFJs that are really good programmers as well. They're free-spirited type people, but really what it comes down to is you're trying to figure out what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and can you work within those strengths and weaknesses. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. So you got explorers, you got entrepreneurs, you got entertainers, you got, this and that. So what I like to do, just to keep it simple, is go to Google and type in Myers-Briggs programmer. We'll just do computer programmer. And we want to get an idea of the personality that would probably fit this the best. So what personality types are best for computer programming? And what we see here is probably the INTJ from what I see here. But I'm not saying that if somebody is not an INTJ, they're not good. That's not what I'm saying. All right. But I'm trying to give you kind of a starting point. So as you can see here, INTJ programmers. So the I stands for introvert. So that type of person, they're not going to talk about programming to you all day in all the time. But it's going to be in their mind. They're going to show it. Actions speak louder than words. The N means they're intuitive. T means that they're thinker. So they're going to make decisions based upon the program itself. If it's an F, that means they're going to make decisions based on the person using the software, meaning they're going to make it more user-friendly. So if we look down here and we try to figure out why this personality might be good, this actually will give us a better idea and give you a better idea, especially if you haven't hired programmers before or you've hired programmers that haven't succeeded before. Just reading this paragraph gives you an idea of what you want to look for. So even if it's not the same personality type, this gives you a direction. And that's the reason why I wanted to show this to you, is because this is giving you a direction of where to head for, what type of person to look for. So for example, critical thinking. You want a programmer that can think critically, that can look at the code, read the code, understand the code, and make it happen. That at the end of the day is very, very important. All right. So going here, Personality Cafe, it says, what personality types are good for programmer? It says, I am a INTJ. So that's what we saw earlier. My INFJ family member is a Master C programmer. All right. So IJ, it seems to be a pattern, I and J. Now, scroll down further, you can kind of get an idea of what other people, the best programmers I've seen is an ISTJ. So jot that down, INTJ, so we can jot that down right now. So INTJ, ISTJ, and earlier we saw something else. Let's see, INTP. Now, what do you see as a pattern here? What are the letters that you see? I and T, right? So in this case, I think the pattern is something T something. And basically a thinker. So thinkers, like I said, they base their decision on the data itself. So you want somebody who's critical thinking. If it's something like a XSFX, which means a feeler, that's fine too, but they might have problems with critical thinking. So I wanted to scroll through here to show you the patterns. And you're looking for patterns here. All right. So let's take a look at the INTJ. And they're probably under the analysts. So INTJ, INTP, ENTJ, ENTP. Now, I will say right off the bat, ENTJs, they're more of the commander. So debater. So if you want somebody, you want to hire somebody who debates with you all the time or commands you all the time, you might think twice. So these here, though, INTJs and INTPs, they're more likely not really going to debate with you. They're going to just look at the data, look at what you need, and they're going to go and program it. All right. So this gives you an idea of who you're dealing with. So somebody took the personality test and they're an ENFJ. Then it says charismatic, inspiring leaders, able to mesmerize their listeners. So they're really good at, motivation and all that. I actually have a friend who is an ENFJ, but he's really motivational. And he actually took the Linux exam and passed it with flying colors. But then he moved on to the next thing a month later, and he decided to do something else. So that's a good indication of who you're dealing with, right? So you might have a programmer that's really excited who might get the job done halfway and then decide, I'm not really interested anymore, all right? So this is why you really need to look deep into personality types. It's a good way to indicate and a good way to predict what will happen in the future, all right? So you kind of have to do your due diligence, but let's say, for example, if you hired this type of person here and they are a programmer, if their skill set matches and all that, you got to realize you're dealing with an entrepreneur. So they might take your idea and go off and make it better. So you got to make sure you protect yourself as well. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed that. And don't focus too much on this. Just think, okay, INTJ, INTP is a good match. And based on the other ones, look at their strengths and weaknesses. So if you click on here, for example, you'll get an idea of who they are, and you go straight to the strengths and weaknesses, get an idea of what their strengths are, and see if it matches with you. And then look at their weaknesses. For example, arrogant, judgmental, over analytical, and all that. Can you deal with this person? Are you willing to deal with this person? Kind of thing. Is this person going to work well in your team? All right. So that's what you need to look for, an overall picture. And that's going to help you in the long run.